Today we are on with Hanshi Colleen Barongan, 8th Dan of the Barongan Karate System. Hanshi, it is an absolute honor to have you here with us today.
It's an honor to be here.
So let's jump right in. Tell me about your martial arts journey.
Well, I got interested in martial arts on a very cloudy Saturday afternoon. I happened to stumble across Kung Fu theater. Very old Kung Fu movies where they had to dub in the English. They talked for 5 minutes and then it said hi as the translation. It was interesting. After that, I got into other sports. I moved to Iowa for various reasons, and I got introduced to actually getting to practice when I met Professor Bobby Barongan. From there, we just, him and his son sold me on trying it out, and I haven't looked back since.
Wow. Kung Fu movies, huh? Was it
Yeah.
just the Saturday Kung Fu movies that used to be back on TV back in the day?
That, and then there was a series with David Carradine called Kung Fu something. Kung Fu Master or something like that, and it was fun.
I had no idea about that.
Yeah, my mom would sit and watch it with me. She really liked it until she realized I wanted to do it, and then she's like, nope.
What made you decide to start taking martial arts? I mean, the Kung Fu movies I get, but actual going into a dojo.
When I went into the dojo and watched Professor Barangan and his son Brian, there was a couple of women in the class, and the more I watched the movement, the sense of unity, it all struck me as making sense. So the way they were portraying the movement, the self-defense, I'm like, I can understand that, I can do that. And after that, after the first 2 or 3 classes, I'm like, wow, I had no idea this was so physically challenging. But it actually, I found it more intriguing and very interesting, and there was never a limit to how much you could learn.
Amen to that. I was telling Renchi yesterday, the day before yesterday, that being in class with you guys sometimes feels like equated to drinking from a fire hydrant, because you have so much knowledge that you throw out, and I'm like, I just got to get just a little bit. There's so much coming at me. You guys are welcome now.
It's never for the short haul. It's a long haul. You'll never catch all of it at once. It's a small piece at a time.
In your martial arts career, what's something that you've seen that you think people underestimate about female fighters and practitioners?
I think a lot of people judge outward appearance, and they just assume that, oh, you're too fat to do this. Oh, you're just a female. You don't have enough muscle to do that. I've surprised a few. And age is never a limit. A lot of people think age is very big. No, it's not a limit. Learning difficulties, it's not a limitation unless you let it be. I've seen people come through the dojo that couldn't pick up a lesson at a schoolyard, but yet when we got hold of them, they started with us, and all of a sudden you start to see the light bulbs come on, and it's like, okay, so now translate that into your real life, because to me, martial arts isn't about just an art, it's about a lifestyle and a way to live.
Have you ever been doubted because you're a female in the martial arts community?
Constantly.
Ooh.
But I think a lot of it, though, I mean, you're a female in a male-dominated sport. I've encountered that for most of my career as far as martial arts and my working career. A lot of people look at me and say, well, you don't know what you're doing. And most of the time I look at them and say, no, I don't. But if you want to underestimate me, I'm not going to prove you wrong until I have to. It's my martial arts. I don't have to share unless I want to.
Oh, that's so good. That is so good. And I have to say, just the way being in class with you and watching the way that you can articulate movements, you can talk through them as well as show and demonstrate. You are a true great teacher of martial arts. You can teach anyone, and you have that gift to have the ability to talk to different people and show them and meet them where they're at.
Well, I have difficulty sometimes learning different things. And sometimes when you're shown 3 or 4 different angles of the exact same thing, or told something the same but 3 different versions, you suddenly go, oh, I get it now. And that's kind of where I teach from. If you don't quite get this path, how about this one? You got to change it up and see which one sticks. You can't just quit. You got to try different things.
In the martial arts journey, what's the hardest you ever been hit?
I would say it was an axe kick from a taekwondo specialist to the top of my head, and it knocked me out cold. It was during competition, and I underestimated her, so I'm guilty of it too.
How about emotionally? What's the hardest you've been hit?
The emotionally, I would have to say one of my belt tests I had 5 minutes to prepare for. I had no idea it was coming. That 5 minutes to prepare sends you kind of into a panic because it's not just the feeling that you're possibly going to fail, but you feel like you're going to fail your instructor. That bothered me more than it ever bothered me failing myself. And you panic. But I got through it, and after that, it's like I can do just about anything I put my mind to, and I've got to adjust my way I'm thinking, and I just do it.
Is that the quote unquote being bobbied?
Yes, it was.
Can you tell us about that? Nathan and I were discussing it as well.
We were having a gathering. It was our martial arts yearly dinner, and I was off cooking. And all of a sudden I got tapped on the shoulder and said, "You're needed in the testing room." I said, "Okay." So I went in there, and Bobby hands me my uniform. He says, "Put your uniform on." I said, "I don't need to put my uniform on. I've got egg rolls in the deep fryer. I don't want them to burn." He goes, "I'll take care of it." He says, "You're testing." I'm like, "I'm what?" I'll have to say I got very angry, but then a young man by the name of Adam Gobel turned around and looked at me and said, "Mom, if anyone's ready for this, you are." I said, "I'm not." He says, "You are." He says, "Trust me on this. I know you. Just get up there and do what you always do, and that's take charge." I said, "Okay."
That's amazing. And for people that don't know, the gathering is this yearly event that comes on, and Hanshi Professor, the UKKS, they do this amazing gathering, and you're the backbone of the event, especially on the backside of it, putting things together. So to get tested there to get Bobby there would be mind blowing.
And you look at all of these people who I've come through the martial arts field with, plus all the people who I teach are all standing there staring at you. And you're going, "Oh man, I don't want to let any of them down." But the gathering to me is the biggest family meal I ever prepare. It's all about the family. It's all about everybody sharing a meal, sharing history, sharing jokes, sharing experiences. I look forward to it every year. And I miss it if we don't do it.
I've only had the privilege of being at 5 of them, I believe, 4 or 5, and I look forward to it as well.
I just don't want to stop doing it.
Yeah. It's an excellent tradition, and what you guys have built with the UKKS is it's truly amazing to be able to build something. I'll let you talk to the UKKS.
The UKKS started off as people who didn't have any means to further their knowledge of the martial arts. They got so far in their art, and they lost their instructor. Their instructor and them had a falling out. Their instructor passed away. What we did with the UKKS is we brought everybody, no matter what style, into this area of let's review what you know. Let's see what you don't know. If you have enough experience, then let's get you up to the rank you deserve. And if you need more experience, that's where all of our artists get together and we all share different techniques so that we can bring them up to the level they should be, or give them something to learn even further than what they already have. It's an open roundhouse type sharing. It's really interesting.
Have you shared any disappointment or heartache from the UKKS as far as?
There's difficulties with that because there are some people that truly believe that their system and their system only is the best and the only system that works. And the UKKS has proved that wrong. Some people handle it well, some people don't. If you are that staunch believer in your instructor and in your system, I congratulate you. However, you get stagnant to the point where your system becomes so stale that you don't have anything else to offer your students, it makes it very difficult for the student because they get bored learning the same thing over and over again. They need something fresh to liven up the brain. And it's tough when you have to deal with something like that.
How do you keep it fresh from your perspective for your system?
Our system, we have a wonderful idea that it is adaptable. And by adaptable means I may see a technique over here in Tai Chi and I'm like, oh, that would work with this technique that we're doing in Kempo. And we incorporate that. We meld it to the point where maybe another student, they may see that melding too, and we all cooperate or collaborate on what we're doing. A lot of systems, your brown belts, they're just there to absorb what you're teaching. I would rather hear the brown belt perspective so that, I get a different point of view. It kind of helps when you're going to teach a white belt what they're doing. You get a whole perspective instead of just one angle.
Yes, Renchi referred to it as adding salt and pepper, some seasoning.
Yes, that's my terminology. When you get into the
Absolutely.
art, it becomes your art. My Kempo isn't Renshi's Kempo. My Kempo isn't your Kempo. I'm going to do it slightly different. If I can prove that what I do different works, then it becomes part of the system. But how I react out on the street, it's going to all be me. It has nothing to do with anyone else. It's my reactions out there. It's my martial arts. If your martial art isn't personal, then it's not working for you, and it should.
Have you ever wanted to quit doing martial arts?
I did quit. I quit for a very short time, but I couldn't walk away. I got very frustrated, and I would have to say a little too egotistical, and I couldn't keep control, which I'm a control fanatic, if you haven't guessed. I walked away, but within, I would say, 3 weeks, I couldn't stay out of the dojo. I had to go back. It gets into your everyday life, it gets into your system, and when you don't do it, it starts to bother you, and you can't do it. You can't walk completely away. You want to get in there and work out, try something different, leave whatever's bothering you outside the dojo door, and just focus on the martial arts and the movements.
Well, I can say 3 weeks, that's definitely not quitting. That's just a little sabbatical.
I tried.
In training for you, what does strength really look like when nobody's watching?
Strength to me is being able to focus. It's not always about power. It's all about speed, targeting. Your targeting is the biggest key to being able to strengthen your mind. If I can strengthen my mind, the body will follow. If I keep my mind active and sharp, the body may hurt, but it is going to follow what I tell it to do. If I'm going to focus and strengthen my body, then I am going to have to get over the mental limitations of age and sex, and all of that's got to stay out the dojo. And I just go in there and I just want to put everything I've got on the floor. Because if I don't put everything on the floor, I've cheated somebody, and I'm not about to do that.
I believe that wholeheartedly. What's more important, respect or winning?
To me, respect. Winning is a short-term gratification. Respect is a long-term partnership, relationship. I would more than gladly be respected than win. Winning's cheap, sorry. You can be a totally horrible person and still win, but to be respected means you have something in you that somebody else likes and somebody else aspires to, and that's more important.
Can you remember back to your black belt testing?
First grade, yes.
Yeah. Can you tell me about that?
Oh boy. My first grade black belt test was 7.5 hours long. We had to do the entire system, and there were two of us testing, so I had to take on the other individual and spar. The gentleman was 6'4", and I would say 280 pounds of pure solid muscle. Then they threw two more 18-year-olds at me after I was completely exhausted. And it just kept going from there. But one of the biggest achievements of my life at that point was making it through that test and being able to walk away and be able to breathe, not being injured. It was an amazing feat for me, because I won that day, whether I won the respect of the people who judged it or whether I won the respect of the people watching. I won my own respect. I made it through. If I can respect myself, I can spread it around. But I got to respect myself. And after that, it was self confidence building tremendously.
What's a lesson that martial arts has taught you that changed your life?
Oh, there's a couple. One, control my temper. I'm Irish. Trust me, there's no control in it, but I have learned. Number two, it has changed my focus on what's really important. It's not about my opinion being the only opinion. I want to make sure that the other opinions are heard and they count, because there's always something in everyone's opinion that can better what you're trying to teach. The other life lessons is you only get out of working out, and you only get out what you put in. So if I put my whole person, my whole heart, everything I've got into my workout, I get a good result. If I give it a halfway, half effort, I'm not getting anything out of it.
What fear did you have to overcome to get where you're at today?
There was three. One was public speaking. I'm not particularly good at it. I've gotten better since I've been teaching.
I would have never guessed that.
I have a horrible time with it. I've taken several classes, and I've also, after years of teaching, it gets a little easier. I would say the second one was extreme injury, like a broken bone. I'd never broken anything but my toes. And I was afraid this would encourage it, and it never has. I have only broken one bone, and that was my ankle, and that was stupidity on my part because I slipped on the ice. It had nothing to do with the martial arts. But in the martial arts, the only injuries I've ever had is bruises. And bruises you get over really quick. It's not that bad. I've had somebody hit me with everything they had, and I still stood there, looked at them, and said, "Is that all you got?" You can take what you want to take. If you want to be able to take that hit, you can. You just have to put your mind in another zone and then work your way back out of it. My other fear would be acceptance. It's hard for me to sit down and talk with people. A lot of times when other females see you in the martial arts, which is a physical activity, physical sport, not so much today, but in, say, 20 years ago, you were considered to be either tomboy or butch or whatever. And I'm like, no, I still wear my skirts and I still get on my frill, let me tell you. Women's sports have come so far, it's not that big of an attitude adjustment, but being accepted for who you are and what you are. I'm an artist. You either accept me or you don't. Now it's not as important to me to be accepted. You like me, fine. You don't, the door's over there. Go find somebody else.
So what's one stereotype for women in martial arts that you just want to destroy?
That we're not as powerful as men. I don't believe that. I've had to take down men that were bigger than me, stronger than me, had more talent and ability than me. The one thing that women often underestimate is their actual power and ability to take the pain of any sort. If you're going to get hit, you're going to get hit. You have to find a way to go, okay, I'm hit, and then keep going. You don't stop and dwell on it, because you've got to find a way around it. You've got to save your life, if not your life, your kid's life that's standing there. And one of the worst things I try and convince women is that they have power. They have the ability in their body to stop what they want to stop. And all it takes is a certain way to stand and a certain mindset. And you can do whatever you want to do. Speed, focus. It's not about power and muscle. It's speed, focus, and the ability to knock them off balance. It's all you need.
Have you ever had to prove yourself more to overcome your peers?
I do. I would say in the coming through the martial arts, there was a bit of that. Not so much nowadays, but yeah, there were a few people that doubted my abilities, and I decided I didn't want to be doubted. Again, a nasty little temper and control issue. There's been a few people that I've surprised and dropped on the mat, and they looked up at me and said, "How did I get down here?" I said, "I haven't got a clue. You tripped." You have to prove to yourself that you're good enough. And once you prove to yourself, you don't need to prove it to anybody else. You have to know you're good enough. Yeah, we all doubt that at times, but you've got to know that practicing and working, and it's a mindset. It's all it is a mindset.
On the other side of that, what did that teach you?
It taught me that I know to have a little more confidence in what I know, have a little more confidence in my ability to adapt to a situation, not try to control it, but actually adapt, realign the situation to where I want it, and then take on the aggression, shall we say.
At your level now, what does being a martial arts master, what does that mean to you beyond the title?
I don't have tests anymore. No, I'm just kidding. I'm the example. If you look at the UKKS, you look at the Barongan Kempo, and you look at some of the other systems, I'm one of the highest ranks females in the area. And I find that to be a great responsibility because there are other females that are coming through the ranks that need an encouragement. They need a role model. And I really feel that, I'm hoping anyway, that I am that role model for them, that you don't just quit, you keep powering through. And it's not about notoriety, it's about being able to live your life the way you want.
How do you approach teaching differently as you talk about mentoring young women and teaching them and bringing them up? How does that make you teach differently?
A lot of women probably don't care a whole lot for my style of teaching because we have kids who come in and they get very emotional, and I'm not one to go, oh, you poor thing. That's not, to me, a positive way to reinforce their behavior. To me, if you're going to cry, give me a reason why you're crying. If you can't give me a reason, then you don't need to be doing it. If I'm going to address a female, I'm going to tell them, look, this isn't an easy art. This isn't an easy life. Life is hard. You have to toughen up just enough to make it through and adapt to what they're throwing at you. And that's one thing I want the females to understand, is they are one of the most adaptable animals basically on the planet. You have to adapt. You have to change your way of thinking. You have to change how you approach things in order to grow, to learn, to develop, and excel.
What responsibility do you feel comes with being a female leader in this space?
Female leader is always a tough one. Everyone expects you to be very caring and very, sympathetic. I can be caring and sympathetic until I'm not. I can appreciate that people have difficulties, and there's a lot of difficulties in life because life is what life is. It's going to change. It's going to throw a curveball at you. And as a leader, you have to not only be soft in the right area, but you also have to have a pretty staunch backbone and be able to absorb, okay, this has happened. How do we get through it? What's our next step? Where do we go from here? And try and get past it and get through it, not focus on the negatives. Try to keep positive.
What legacy do you want to leave for the next generation of martial artists and female martial artists?
The legacy I'd like to leave behind is I'd like to see more people open the door of any dojo, doesn't matter what style, whatever style you can afford to go and practice, whatever style is in your area, open the door and go through the door. If you get along with the instructor, take the martial arts, because you're going to learn a lot more about life, not just the art. You're going to learn a lot more about yourself. And that's the legacy I'd like to leave behind. Don't hesitate, go for it.
Finish this sentence. A true warrior is someone who...
True warrior is someone who focuses on other people, not themselves. The warrior takes the troops forward. It's not about a self-concern. It's about the whole regiment's concern. Take the whole martial art forward. Everybody's got to succeed. It's not about you. It's the whole regiment. A true leader is more concerned with their people behind them than they are about themselves. And that's the way it should be.
And that's why I feel so blessed to be at Barongan Kempo, because I see you live that out every day. You are a rising tides raise all ships mentality. And you want everyone else to be better people because of that.
Yes.
And I appreciate you so much for everything that you do.
Thank you.
You bet. Now, this is my fun little segment I like to do. We're just gonna do a little quick rapid fire. Favorite martial arts movie?
Tuxedo with Jackie Chan.
All right. Favorite martial artist?
Ouch! There's so many. Jackie Chan, Mark Dacakis. That's about it.
Mark Dacakis. That's the first time I've heard that one.
I enjoy the way he moves is very real to me. Does a great
Yeah.
job acting. Whether he can really do it or not, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the first time I've heard that one. And you really often overlooked in the martial arts community and when you talk about movies and whatnot.
There's several others. I mean, I came through the martial arts with Dolph Lundgren. Who's the other one? Jean-Claude Van Damme. Steven Seagal, of course. Jeff Speakman. I came through with all of the movies, which I enjoy watching. Don't get me wrong, but the most intriguing I had would have been some of the movies that I've seen with Jet Li. I like Bruce Lee movies, yes. Of course, I'll sit and watch them. But there's so many good actors out there that don't get the mention.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good ones that are out there, like Cynthia Rothrock, who is out there still producing movies, and she's, doing a great job of promoting the arts.
Yeah, she does. There used to be a place on the east side over by Redhead Park called the House of Kung Fu when I was a kid. We go there on Saturdays and I think take $1 and they let us watch on this giant 50-inch TV, watch Kung Fu movies. Me and my cousins and people from the neighborhood. And that's where I was first exposed to Bruce Lee.
Ask Professor about the House of Kung Fu.
I heard the professor and Kiyoshi Paulson talk about the House of Kung Fu.
Yes, they both have some really good stories about the House of Kung Fu.
Yeah, it's such a small world.
I love it.
All right, favorite technique. What is your go-to that you love, your bread and butter?
I love my forms. I love all of the empty hand forms. To me, the movement in the forms for me is one of the best ways to elevate myself out of depression and into a better frame of mind just doing the forms. And of course, that includes weapons forms. I love my weapons. But yeah, just forms.
All you Barongan love your weapons.
Yes, we do.
I was telling somebody at one point when I first joined Barongan, I wanted nothing to do with weapons. I wanted to do forms. I wanted to learn forms. I was so intimidated by weapons. And to some degree still am. But you guys have been amazing teachers and mentors bringing it in and showing how it's just an extension of your body.
Yeah. And you have to show it respect and distance. I see a lot of today when I go to tournaments that people get the weapons very close to the body when they're moving them. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's a little close. That's going to end up getting, we call it biting you, which is cutting you. And you have to respect the weapon enough to give it its own space. Otherwise, it's not going to be a pleasant experience for you.
Absolutely. What's one thing that you would say to somebody that's sitting on the fence that wants to maybe try martial arts, but there's an intimidation factor that's holding them back?
I would tell them, come play with me. I say that and everyone laughs. But when you get into the martial arts, the very first action you do when you come in the door, you should be greeted by the instructor, and the instructor kind of gives you an overview. This is what we expect. Come try it. I don't care about, what you have on. I don't care about pay and all that. Come into the art. Come in, try it. Put yourself on the floor. Let's give it a shot. You like it, come back. If you don't, it's not for you. It's got to be a life choice or it doesn't work. You've got to find that connection. And if you're on the fence about the martial arts, I'm going to tell you, get off the fence and come on in the dojo. I'm over 60 and I'm still doing it and I'm loving every day of it.
Hanshi, it's with great honor and admiration and respect that I give you one of these.
Us.
And thank you so much for your commitment to your martial arts journey, which is shaping so many different people. And I really want you to know that what you guys do does not go unnoticed. You are You are changing the world for better. And personally, thank you for your relationship with myself, my son, my wife. We definitely feel like we are Ohana with you guys.
I think the more Ohana we have, the more fun it becomes. You meet some of the most interesting people in the martial arts. I have made some very good close friends, and it's a unique friend because they're all very, very supportive of each other, and we have a community where we are all enjoy each other and enjoy the pranks and the jokes and the, but I am very honored to be on the podcast. I thank you very much, and I enjoy you in class. I enjoy all my students, and I love the aha moments. Those are my favorite.
Yes, you provide many of those.
I try.
Hanshi Barongan, thank you so much for coming on Tell the Dragons. This was actually, I never set out to do a podcast. It was born out of hearing Professor talk, you talk, people that I have so much admiration for. It's like we had to preserve these stories. So what their thoughts are on legacy and whatnot, because obviously none of us are getting out of here alive, right?
No.
And and I've seen martial arts change so much from when I first started doing it to now. I can only imagine what it's going to look like in 20 years.
That's true.
And hopefully people can look back on this wisdom that you've shared today and gain something. I know it's the wisdom you gave today is going to be timeless 20 years from now.
I hope so. But it wouldn't have been captured without you, so I appreciate you for all
Thank
the
you
work
so
you've
much.
done to not only promote the arts, but also get people aware. Just raise the awareness.